Okay, good evening, good afternoon. I am honored to be with you today for Kwanzaa 365, which is a 7-day celebration for a year-round practice. And the first principle is Umoja, which represents unity. And according to the mandates at its creation, it is to strive for and maintain unity within the family, community, the nation, and the race. And as this is a moment of the elder, I will refer to those who are my elder as well, so that we might be consistent throughout the generations of directions that we've been given with regard to our personal, individual, and collective liberation. I would like to begin with a story regarding my own father, who was the single most powerful influence in my life. He used to take me everywhere with him, particularly when he was taking care of business. And one day while taking care of business, I found myself down on the floor. Didn't know how I got there, but I got up very quickly because every day was an experience with my father that is indelibly impressed upon my consciousness. And the second time I was down on the floor, I know how I got there because he pushed me there. And as I was slow in getting up, he came over to me and lightly kicked me with his feet. And he said, "Boy, do you live there?" And I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, get up." So I quickly got up and he came over to me and he says, "Now listen to me. This store may belong to Mr. Edwards, but that space that you stand on is yours. You have a historical space, you have a spiritual space, you have a social space, you have a personal space, you got an individual space. It's your space, and no one has a right to it without your permission. Do you understand me, boy?" "Yes, sir." And then he pushed me, and I stood strong as I could, and he stepped away saying, "I'm proud of you." Now, as it regards this first principle, unity must take place within the individual first. And then you have the makings for a collective when everyone has and are expressing their own autonomy. And thereby you have the essentials necessary to maintain unity among yourself, because you've achieved that within your own God self. And of course, that is the foundation for the family, which is the foundation for the community, which is the foundation for the nation, which from whom the races. Of course, in 1966, it's race there, but a lot has happened since 1966, and we can all be proud of ourselves if we recognize the truth of who we are in relationship to the fact that there is in truth only one race, and that is the one blood out of whom all nations were made. So once we've come to that place, then we begin to accentuate our unity, and whatever the desires are of the community becomes the collective concern of each person and the community. And thereby, as Maya Angelou wrote some years ago, you have the makings of each one teaching one, because each one has attained an individuality that they can identify as their personal I am. So it is about consciousness, and as life is about consciousness, and unity reigns in the mind of those who have a positive image of themselves. And that image, from my perspective, and of course, while I was a religious person, I know not too much am, but still the Bible is a book of instructions for me. And so therefore I do accept the fact that I am, and of course you are, notwithstanding your awareness of it or not, made in the image after the likeness of God, therefore God of your own experience. And when you become God of your own experience, you become mindful. You become mindful of what you feel, you become mindful of what your neighbor feels, and then thereby your neighbor is no longer identified by any external factors, but your neighbor becomes recognized in the heart, because you've achieved that level of unity within yourself, which thereby becomes the supporting factor in your interaction with all persons, because notwithstanding your disposition, your attitude, your awareness, your understanding, or your lack of knowledge, everyone is going to reap what they sow. And since everyone is going to reap what they sow, unification, coming together in unity, gives you the foundation, the assured foundation of reaping what you've determined by your unification to sow for the benefit of all persons. And thereby, not only are you loving yourself because you're unified within your own self-identity, but you're also loving your fellow man. And so thereby, what do you have? Except that which assures the success of everyone. And so therefore, that negates any probability of failure, because actually there's only one mind. And that mind is God mind, which is the mind that you're called upon to have within yourself. And that is a consciousness of your I amness. When I was a boy, as it regards people of my hue, we had unity in our community. Everyone raised the child. Everyone disciplined the child. Our leaders, our doctors, our preachers, our teachers, all community leaders lived within the community, and very few of them moved out of the ramifications of the ideals that were set for the community. And when they did, they only did it once because they were dealt with properly. So when we talk about unity, we're talking about the unity of the whole of the community. And so I understand this time for us as a people with my hue, going back to the beginning and the necessity for identifying ourselves and our place in this experience called North America. I believe from my experience, as I was one who vehemently felt hate for a long period of time, I believe that we move beyond that time when we can think of the race as a collective. And so that collective being unified for the purpose of accentuating a common goal, it's impossible to lose. You have a guaranteed win. It's absolute. It's definite. Thank you. This is Kwanzaa 365, a 7-day celebration for a year-round practice